In ancient times, people built statues and monuments to leave a lasting memory of their civilization for future generations. Similarly, they created time capsules, cylindrical bottles, bags, or boxes to store messages, essential items, and meaningful objects.
The event plodded along until 1974 when Harold Davison, a local furniture store owner, decided to build a time capsule, the world's largest.
These capsules were buried deep in the ground so that when future generations unearthed them, they could learn about the past and the lives of those who came before them.
We felt like, okay, this is for the future, this is for Seward.
It's incredible to think that this practice continues today. People, organizations, and famous personalities still create time capsules to preserve their legacy and share a piece of their world with the future. Whether through artifacts or personal messages, time capsules are a unique way to ensure that their stories and impressions endure for years to come. In this video, let's have a detailed look at these time capsules from the future. Number 1. World's largest time capsule in Seward. In 1975, Harold Davison, a furniture store owner, decided to build a considerable time capsule. He buried a 45-ton vault underground, filled with interesting items from that time. Some of the treasures inside include a brand new Chevy Vega car, a motorcycle, and over 5,000 other items, like a pair of bikini panties and a man's leisure suit with yellow flowers. He wanted his grandchildren and future generations to know what life was like in 1975. Harold believed that seeing and touching things was better than reading about them in books. The time capsule was sealed on July 4, 1975, and will be opened on July 4, 2025, after 50 years. In 1977, the Guinness Book of World Records confirmed it as the most significant time capsule in the world. Harold's daughter, Trish, says he did this because he thought people wouldn't remember him. He was determined to leave something behind for the future. Number 2. Westinghouse Time Capsule. On September 23, 1938, a crowd gathered at the future site of the 1939 New York World's Fair to bury something special. They buried a time capsule made by the Westinghouse Electric Company. The capsule, shaped like a torpedo, was lowered into a 50-foot deep hole. It won't be opened for 5,000 years until the year 6939. Inside the capsule are many items from 1939 that Westinghouse hoped would show people in the future what life was like back then. The Westinghouse Time Capsule was the first to be called a time capsule. Even though the fair's theme was the world of tomorrow, the capsule focused on the present. During the Great Depression, Westinghouse didn't just care about making money, but also felt a duty to preserve history for the future. This project reflected the worries and hopes of 1939. At the fair, people were thinking about progress, science, and the past, while also wondering what the future would be like. The capsule, carefully made from a special metal to last for thousands of years without rusting, was buried at Flushing Meadows Park in New York. Number 3. Expo 70 Time Capsule, to be opened in 6970. In January 1968, two Japanese companies, Panasonic and the Mainichi newspapers, started a time capsule project for the 1970 Japan World Expo. After 3 years of planning, two identical time capsules were buried near Osaka Castle. The lower capsule will stay buried for 5,000 years until 6970, and the upper capsule was first opened in the year 2000 and will be reopened every 100 years. The goal of this project is to preserve a visual, audio, and written record of life in 1970. Each capsule holds 2,098 items, including art, literature, music, and messages about the people's hopes and dreams. Experts used advanced techniques to ensure everything was well preserved. The public, scientists, and scholars helped choose the items. The capsules are made from special steel and last for thousands of years. This project is a gift to future generations, showing them what life was like in Japan in 1970. Number 4. Time Capsule Experiment. Oxford Electric Bell, 1840. The Oxford Electric Bell is an experiment that started in 1840 and still runs today, over 180 years later. It was made by a company in London and bought by Robert Walker, a physics professor at Oxford. The bell is located in the Clarendon Laboratory at the University of Oxford, behind 2 layers of glass. It rings almost non-stop, but is too quiet to hear. The bell works using 2 brass bells and a small metal ball that moves between them. The bells are powered by dry piles, which are old batteries. The ball gets charged by one bell, is pushed away, and then pulled to the other bell, where it touches and repeats the process. This keeps the bell ringing. Since only a tiny amount of electricity is used, the batteries have lasted all these years. The bell has rung about 10 billion times since 1840, making it one of the longest-running experiments in history. Number 5. Crypt of Civilization. Buried in 1940, to be opened in 8113. The Crypt of Civilization at Oglethorpe University is the oldest and largest time capsule in the world. It was sealed on May 28, 1940, and will remain closed until May 28, 8113. No valuable items like gold or jewelry are inside. Instead, it holds items from the 20th century, including books, recordings, and artifacts that show how people lived. The crypt is located in Phoebe Hearst Hall at Oglethorpe University, Atlanta, Georgia. Dr. Thornwell Jacobs, the university president, came up with the idea in 1936. He wanted to create a record of life during his time for future historians. His plan got a lot of attention, and other companies soon followed his example, making their time capsules. The idea was even featured in Scientific American in 1936. Jacobs called this a way of fulfilling an archaeological duty to preserve human history for future generations. The crypt was designed to last over 6,000 years and holds knowledge that took thousands of years to gather. It is a remarkable attempt to preserve the story of human civilization for the future. Number 6. Bangtan Sonyeondan, BTS Time Capsule at National Museum of Korean Contemporary History. BTS, the famous K-pop group, presented President Moon Jae-in with a time capsule on September 19th during the Youth Day event at Cheongwa-dae. This particular box is now displayed at the National Museum of Korean Contemporary History. The purple box, a color linked to BTS and their fans, is on the 5th floor of the museum in the permanent exhibition hall. It measures 40 centimeters long, 30 centimeters wide, and 26 centimeters high. The time capsule holds items related to young people, Bangtan Sonyeondan, BTS music, and their fan base. Above the box, visitors can watch a video of Bangtan Sonyeondan's BTS speech from the Youth Day event. The time capsule will be opened during the 20th Youth Day in 2039, offering a look into the band's musical achievements and messages for future generations. Number 7. Seoul Millennium Time Capsule. In 1994, Seoul buried a unique time capsule to celebrate its 600th year as Korea's capital. This capsule, located in Namsan-Gulhanak village, contains 600 items that represent the city's culture and life. It is set to be opened on November 29th, 2394, when Seoul will celebrate its 1000th anniversary. The capsule is designed to look like the Bosingak bell, an essential symbol in Seoul. The area around it is shaped like a meteorite crater, representing forever. Namsangol Hanok Village, where the capsule is buried, is a free cultural park with 5 traditional Korean houses. These houses were moved there to help preserve and share Korean traditions with visitors. The time capsule includes modern items from Seoul's life and culture, and its opening in 2394 will give people a look back at Seoul's past. Number 8. The Helium Centennial Time Columns Monument, 1968 to be opened in 2068. The Helium Centennial Time Columns Monument was built in Amarillo, Texas in 1968 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the discovery of helium. Amarillo was chosen because it played a key role in the United States Helium Reserve and had been producing helium since 1927. The monument was later moved by helicopter to the Don Harrington Discovery Center in 1982. The monument has 4 columns, each with a time capsule inside. These capsules are meant to be opened at different times: 25 years, 50 years, 100 years, and 1,000 years after 1968. Each capsule has items and documents about its period. The first capsule was opened in 1993, and the second one was opened in 2018. The 25-year capsule focused on human reliance on natural resources, while the 50-year capsule focused on the industry's use of these resources. Future capsules will cover science and conservation efforts. The monument reminds us to conserve natural resources and use them wisely. Number 9. Wall Street Time Capsule from 1914. A time capsule sealed in 1914 was recently opened on Wall Street after being forgotten for years. This time capsule, the oldest known, was created to celebrate 300 years of the New Netherland Company Charter. The New York Historical Society was supposed to open it in 1974, but it was accidentally left in storage and forgotten until it was rediscovered in 1998. The capsule was meant to mark New York's role in the American Revolution and to make a statement against Boston's Faneuil Hall. Along with the capsule, a plaque was placed at the Merchant's Coffee House, which commemorated an important letter from 1774. Inside the capsule were a yearbook from the Holland Society, a portrait of Ellen J., a report from the New York Society Library, and a newspaper about a stolen painting. Although the items might not seem very exciting, the genuine interest lies in the idea of messages sent through time getting rediscovered after many years. Number 10. Mount Rushmore Time Capsule 1998. The Mount Rushmore Time Capsule is located at the Mount Rushmore National Memorial in South Dakota, USA. It was sealed on July 4, 1941, and was buried behind Abraham Lincoln's face on the Mount Rushmore Monument. It was created to celebrate the completion of the sculpture and to keep a record of the era when it was made. Inside the time capsule are various items that show what American life was like in the 1940s. These include newspapers with news from that time, coins that were used then, books and government documents, and photos of important events and people from the period. This time capsule is intended to give future generations a look back at the 1940s and help them understand the history and culture of that time. The capsule was sealed during the last part of carving the monument, which was finished in 1941. It will be opened on its 84th anniversary, allowing people to see how things have changed since then. Number 11. Salt Lake Temple Time Capsule. Newspapers from the time tell us about the items placed inside the Salt Lake Temple's capstone. These items were located in different sections of the capstone: north, east, south, and west. Some items, like a copper plate, coins, and medallions, are in good shape. The copper plate found in the north part has names of church leaders from 2 critical events: the laying of the temple cornerstone in 1853, and the capstone in 1892. There are around 400 coins, including nickels, dimes, pennies, and a few quarters and old coins. When the capstone was placed on April 6, 1892, a large crowd of 30,000 people watched. They were excited to see the final piece put on top of the temple, which had been under construction for 39 years. The event was described as peaceful and beautiful. Recently, the capstone and the Angel Moroni statue were removed for renovation. The capstone, which weighs 5,000 pounds, was found to be filled with cement, making it hard to access the time capsule inside. Number 12. Steve Jobs Time Capsule. In 1983, at a design conference in Aspen, Colorado, Steve Jobs buried a time capsule with various items from that era. The capsule was meant to be opened in 2000, but a big landscaping project made it hard to find. The capsule, known as the Steve Jobs Time Capsule, includes a personal computer mouse from the Apple Lisa, which was an early computer that didn't sell well, but later helped lead to the Macintosh. Along with the mouse, the capsule contained other items like a Rubik's Cube, an 8-track tape of the Moody Blues, and some beer. The capsule was sealed in a protective bag. For 30 years, no one could find it, even though they had a rough idea of where it was buried. Last year, the National Geographic show diggers found the capsule after the first hole was empty. They dug a second hole and were thrilled to discover the capsule. Number 13. Time Capsule Discovery under Washington Monument. The 1915 time capsule, found in Baltimore's Washington Monument, will be shown at the Walters Art Museum starting January 21, 2015, until it is opened in late May. The Washington Monument, the first dedicated to George Washington in the United States, has been getting a $5.5 million restoration since January 2014 by the Mount Vernon Place Conservancy. George Wilk II discovered the capsule on October 16, 2014, while checking the plaster behind a bronze plaque. It had been placed there during the monument's 100th anniversary celebrations and then forgotten. The capsule is thought to contain items related to both the Washington Monument and the 1914 Star-Spangled Banner Centennial celebrations. The capsule, labeled by the Joseph Arthur Limerick Company, was sealed tightly to keep out moisture. Conservators believe the contents are in good condition. After it's opened, the items will be displayed at the Maryland Historical Society during the monument's bicentennial celebrations on July 4, 2015. Number 14. Time capsule found during construction at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. While digging for a new building at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, workers found a 1957 time capsule. This capsule was buried to celebrate the opening of the Carl Taylor Compton Laboratories more than 50 years ago. The time capsule, which was meant to be opened in 2957, was a glass cylinder filled with items from 1957. Inside were letters, a book, new coins from the First National Bank of Boston, a 1957 class mug, and other small items. The glass was filled with argon gas to keep the contents safe, and a bit of carbon-14 was added to help date it. MIT has at least 8 other time capsules on campus. Deborah Douglas, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, Museum's Director of Collections, says finding this capsule is a reminder of how MIT likes to celebrate special moments. The capsule's discovery during the MIT Nano Construction Project gave a glimpse into Massachusetts Institute of Technology's past and is seen as a meaningful and sentimental event. Number 15. A time capsule found beneath Richmond's Robert E. Lee Monument. In September 2021, workers in Richmond, Virginia, removed a giant statue of Robert Edward Lee, which was the last of 6 Confederate monuments on Monument Avenue. While taking down the statue, they discovered a time capsule from 1887 inside its pedestal. After 5 hours of careful work, experts opened the time capsule. It contained several items, including a British silver coin, an 1875 almanac, 3 books, and a cloth envelope. There was also a letter and a photo of James Netherwood, a stonemason who worked on the statue's pedestal. Unfortunately, the artifacts were damaged by water and will be frozen to prevent further damage. The capsule was found in a granite block about 20 feet above the ground. Virginia Governor Ralph Northam called the event meaningful for Richmond's history, although the contents were less significant than hoped. Records suggested the capsule might have included a rare photo of Abraham Lincoln, but it still needs to be found. Number 16. Time Capsule. Buried by Paul Rivier. The Samuel Adams and Paul Rivier Time Capsule is a historic container buried in the cornerstone of the Massachusetts State House. It is believed to have been placed there in 1795 by Governor Samuel Adams and Paul Rivier, making it the oldest known time capsule in the United States. The capsule is a metal box measuring 5.5 by 7.5 by 1.5 inches and weighing about 10 pounds. It was first removed in 1855, cleaned and updated with new items before being put back. In December 2014, it was removed again and X-rayed by experts at the Museum of Fine Arts, Boston. The X-ray showed coins and other objects inside. The capsule was opened on January 6, 2015, revealing newspapers from the time, a 1652 pine tree shilling, a silver plate, possibly made by Rivier, and a copper medal of George Washington. After the items were displayed, the capsule was resealed on June 17, 2015, with new items including a 2015 United States coin set and a silver plaque. Number 17. Nickelodeon Time Capsule. In 1992, Nickelodeon teamed up with the Kids World Council to find out what kids liked the most. They put these items into a giant orange time capsule and buried it in front of Nickelodeon Studios at Universal Studios. The capsule included things like movies on the video home system, compact discs from famous artists like MC Hammer and Michael Jackson, a Nintendo Game Boy, rollerblades, Reebok pump sneakers, and a jar of GAC. It also had Joey Lawrence's Woe 92 hat, news reports on major events like the acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, AIDS, crisis, and Desert Storm, and looks like a world atlas and a comic book. There were also fun items like a Barbie doll, pencils, a skateboard, a baseball, and Twinkies. They even included a piece of the Berlin Wall and a stick of bubble gum, though nobody knows which kind. After Nickelodeon Studios closed in 2005, the time capsule was moved to the Nickelodeon Suites Resort in Orlando. It's planned to be opened on April 30th, 2042, 50 years after it was buried. For now, you can watch videos of the original ceremony. Number 18. Martin Luther King Jr. Time Capsule. Freedom Plaza, located at 14th Street and Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest in Washington District of Columbia, D.C., is a popular spot for tourists and protesters. It offers a clear view down Pennsylvania Avenue to the Capitol and is just a few blocks from the White House. The plaza was initially called Western Plaza when it opened in 1980, but in 1988 it was renamed in honor of Martin Luther King Jr. This was because King wrote part of his famous "I Have a Dream" speech at the nearby Willard Hotel. Some lines from his speech are engraved at the plaza. A unique time capsule was buried beneath Freedom Plaza to honor Dr. King, with plans to open it in 2088. The capsule is a heavy aluminum cylinder and contains a Bible that belonged to Dr. King, a robe he wore while preaching, and recordings of his speeches. It also includes an American flag with 51 stars, hoping that the District of Columbia will be a state by 2088. In the meantime, visitors can enjoy other features of Freedom Plaza, including engraved maps of Washington, the District of Columbia, and quotes from historical figures, including Martin Luther King, Jr. Number 19, Time Capsule at Disney California Adventure Park. Disneyland's souvenirs have become highly valued over time. In the 1950s and 1960s, no one could have predicted this. In 1995, for Disneyland's 40th anniversary, cast members buried a time capsule called the Time Castle to give future visitors a peek into the past. The plaque reads, "A time castle containing Disneyland memories, messages, and milestones lies beneath this spot." The Disneyland Time Castle is dedicated to the children of the 21st century, who may unlock its contents on the 80th anniversary of Disneyland, July 17, 2035. Buried in the center court of Main Street, this time castle holds photos, newspapers, an Indiana Jones decoder card, and other souvenirs. It will be opened on Disneyland's 80th birthday in 2037. Number 20, Brazilian National Museum buries time capsule. The National Museum in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, recently sealed its first time capsule on Friday the 25th. This capsule is placed in front of the São Cristóvão Palace, where the museum is located. The time capsule includes over 100 items, such as letters from officials, newspapers, documents, videos, Universal serial bus drives, pieces of the palace's coverings, and drawings by students. It will be opened in 2072. Time capsules are made to preserve items that reflect the current era, offering insights into society's habits and values. They are specially designed to protect their contents, which can include objects, coins, documents, letters, and personal items from the people who created them. The National Museum, Brazil's oldest scientific institution, is housed in the São Cristóvão Palace. This building was used by Brazil's royal family and was converted into a museum in 1892. A fire in 2018 heavily damaged it. Number 21. Axe Monument Time Capsule. The world's largest axe is a giant sculpture in Nakawik, New Brunswick, Canada. Built in 1991, it stands 49 feet tall and weighs over 55 tons. The axe's blade is 23 feet wide, and it sits on a substantial concrete stump that is 33 feet wide. The axe was created to honor the importance of lumber and forestry, especially since Nakawik was named the forestry capital of Canada that year. The axe has a time capsule hidden in its head, though it's anyone's guess who will look inside it. Besides being a landmark, the stump serves as a stage for community events. The massive axe was designed and built by a company in Woodstock, and moving it to Nakawik was quite a challenge. It had to be transported early in the morning to avoid traffic. Number 22. Bolton Time Capsule. In 1901, a time capsule was hidden inside the head of a lion statue that guarded the old State House in Bolton. For over a century, the capsule remained hidden until the great-great-granddaughter of Samuel Rogers, who built the lion and arranged the capsule's installation, revealed its existence. Inside the capsule, experts found official documents from the time, including an 1896 book about United States foreign relations and local newspapers. Since the capsule was airtight and watertight, everything inside was as it was 100 years ago. The contents also included a badge from Teddy Roosevelt's political campaign, a nail from the Old South Church, and a piece of music signed by John Silver. Now, a new time capsule is being placed inside the lion's head and sealed for another 100 years. This ensures that future generations will have a glimpse into the past, just as we have from the old capsule. Number 23. Time capsule removed from Confederate statue in Virginia. Recently, a Confederate statue in Virginia was taken down, revealing a time capsule from the 19th century. The time capsule was found at the base of the Johnny Reb Confederate Monument in downtown Norfolk. Inside the metal box were items such as a list of Confederate soldiers buried in Norfolk, a newspaper from February 19, 1899, and a badge from a Civil War camp. The capsule was initially buried in 1899, removed in the 1960s when the monument was stored, and then replaced in the 1970s when the statue was reinstalled. Now the box and its contents are being kept in the Sargent Memorial Collection in a library. Another time capsule was found in Grenada, Mississippi. It listed the names of Civil War veterans and has been secured in Grenada City Hall's vault. The Mississippi Department of Archives and History wants to take the capsule and the bricks from the monument's foundation, and Grenada will be notified when it can be retrieved. Number 24. Detroit Century Box. The Detroit Century Box is a time capsule from Detroit, Michigan, created on December 31, 1900. Mayor William C. Mabry organized it to capture the city's state and predictions for the future. It was opened on December 31, 2000 by Mayor Dennis Archer. The capsule showed people's hopes for the future. Some predictions were correct, but others were not. For example, they thought flying cars would be standard, but today we still primarily drive on roads. They imagined robots doing all household chores. But we only have smart gadgets like Siri and Alexa to help. Weather control was also predicted, but we can't control the weather yet. They hoped manual labor would end, but many jobs still need human effort. Underwater cities were dreamed of, but they are still mainly for research. Finally, they imagined the United States owning Canada, but that didn't happen. The capsule reminds us of past dreams and how far we've come. Number 25. Time capsule, buried in 1976, is found in Los Angeles neighborhood. In Los Angeles, a time capsule buried in 1976 was recently uncovered. William Pierce placed the capsule to capture a snapshot of life in that year. After 37 years underground, it was found and opened, revealing a treasure trove of items from the past. Inside the capsule were various things, such as a 1976 Wall Street Journal, newspapers, and classified ads. There were also personal items such as trading cards, a Disneyland spoon, and even old candies. Notable finds included a Planet of the Apes trading card, a Planet of the Apes comic, and a flight pack from Air Jamaica. Some items were a bit surprising, like an air sickness bag and a crystal ball. The capsule also had notes and a list of 1976 fashions. This find is a fascinating glimpse into the past and what people thought was necessary to preserve for the future. I find the idea of a time capsule from the future just as mesmerizing. Imagine uncovering messages or items from a world that hasn't yet existed, giving us an insight into the possibilities of what's to come. It's a fascinating way to explore the hopes, dreams, and technologies of future generations. Each discovery would spark new ideas and possibilities, adding excitement to our understanding of what lies ahead. So keep your mind open and your imagination vast, because the wonders of tomorrow might be hidden in plain sight today.